Alright, so here I have finished making a general game design document for the game, and so I'll show you what I've got. So the concept is pretty simple. You arrive in a blighted world, and you must fight to cleanse the blight and prevent yourself from falling victim to it. So use your sword to reverse the blight and destroy corrupt anchors that are infecting the world to advance from level to level. And destroying these corrupt anchors will reverse the effect the corruption has on you as kind of a refreshing mechanism, and it'll cleanse the world's inhabitants, basically cleaning out, basically kind of freeing each level from the corruption as a progression mechanic. So a basic kind of lore thing I could throw in on the loading screens and as an intro cinematic. You are a warrior from a distant village sent to seek out and destroy the source of the blight that is quickly consuming the world. Journey through this forsaken land and put an end to this curse before you're corrupted as well. Alright, so here are the rules to the game. So, single player, it's sword fighting. There'll be one intro level, 1 to 2 intermediary levels, and 1 boss level. Dying to enemies or the corruption will restart the player from the beginning of the current level, and the current level is dictated by whichever levels you have cleared of their corruption already. And characters have a ticking corruption meter that, if filled, will cause the character to die and thus restart from the last checkpoint. So that brings in the reversing the blight mechanic, and cleaning out a level will basically reset that timer on you. So each level basically has a sort of ticking timer that you have to complete it by, otherwise you'll become corrupted. And you win by clearing all the levels and defeating the final blight boss enemy. Okay, so requirements for the game if you want to follow along and make something similar. I'll be doing this in Unreal Engine 4.23. That's the current latest version of Unreal Engine at this time. And the time is October 13th, 2019. So these are the October free assets, obviously. So close combat swordsman for fighting mechanics, dynamic locomotion and blueprints. I figure I'll use these for some NPCs that are corrupted and basically want you to free them. They'll have like some sort of like, oh, you freed me after you've completed a level. Easy multi-save for level checkpoint system. And flower and plant stature pack for level design, and the blight features, which I'm going to use the flower and plants as basically the whole level design. I'm going to create corrupted versions of those to incorporate with the blight mechanic. And the loading screen system for lore introductions and level transitions. Obviously, it would be the best place to use it. Okay, and so I've broken down the game into a bunch of tasks that I've thought up so far. So mechanic-wise, sword slings will spawn flower trails that'll fall on the level and can cause damage to enemies and cleanse blight. So it'll kind of be like you can constantly override the blight in a level, but enemies will be constantly blighting a level as well. So it's kind of a back and forth fight until you can destroy a level's anchor or such. And the boss will be of a similar kind of feel in that he'll be able to blight the level while you're trying to fight back against it. So levels need blighted versions of materials that can turn back to normal versions after being cleansed. So take all the current nature pack materials that I'm going to use and make blighted versions that can be lerped back and forth. So improve the combat system to have forward stepping during attacks to make it easier to hit retreating enemies. This was something I noticed in testing the combat system. Every single attack that you make is pretty much in place. And if you ever play Dark Souls, you notice that basically all of your attacks are always incorporated with a step forward or a lunge. And that makes it feel way more dynamic and makes it easier to actually hit enemies when you're not perfectly within their range. So I'm going to add basically just a bit of a forward stepping thing, nothing too complicated. Probably won't add any extra animations, or if I do, it'll just be tweaks of the current ones. and creating the boss enemy that has the same mechanics as a player, but with blight instead of flowers. Puzzle mechanics for this fight as well. So this will be the player, whenever he swings, he drops nature or flowers wherever he swings, and that kind of fights back the blight. The boss enemy will be able to do the exact same thing, but basically blighted nature instead. So you'll basically be fighting your mirror image for the final boss, which I figure should be a pretty good way to end it. And if I can think of any extra puzzle mechanics for using the blight versus nature in some way, I'll go in there as well. Okay, and tasks in the design fields. So for this, since I don't have tons of options in level design, I figure I'm gonna make this cell shaded. So I'm gonna make some post-process boxes that'll cell shade the level, and because this idea came to me after basically I thought up some ideas from a game called Okami, if you ever heard of it, and this was inspired from that quite a bit. So I figure cell shading should do some good here, give it a similar feel, bit of like cartoonish, make things stand out a bit more, and so make some introduction and endgame cinematic camera sequences, just so things don't feel too abrupt, and create infected NPCs that react when a level is cleansed. So that's, like I said, with dynamic locomotion, just aesthetic NPCs that'll give you a notification that you basically completed a level almost. And yeah, so that's the design document so far. So I'll start by pretty much working with I think I'm going to do the improved combat system first, because this seems like it'll be the simplest thing to do. So I'll start here, and then probably after that I'll work on the spine flower trails, because that'll be the biggest mechanic that will be needed for the rest of it, since that'll basically be everything to do with all these blighting mechanics. So let's see what we got. Yeah, so let's find the player's blueprint. There you go, upon close combat. And yeah, so he has an attack input action, which is based on heavy attack versus regular attack. The heavy attack I'm not going to do anything to, because that one's just fine being completely in place, since it's a he swings his sword around his body. The regular attack, though, I'll be adding this step forward in as sort of a timeline function, since I can run it in parallel with the animation. So let's just create a timeline first. So step forward timeline. And so this timeline, let's make it, since the animations vary in time a bit, I'm going to need something to scale this, so I'm just going to use a 1 second timeline with a step distance track. It'll output a float, and at the start it'll be 0. Then we want there to be a sort of lunge feel to it, so immediately you should have a decent jump to, let's say, value at 2. And then add another key, and I'll bring it back down to 0.3-ish, yeah. And let's put this all on automatic interpolation. Yeah, nice. So animation starts, And it starts with an immediate lunge, and then it drops off. Well, almost as if he's stepping forward and then stepping down. So with that, we will, on every update, we'll want to set the actor world offset, and we'll get the actor's forward vector, multiply it by a float to get this by the step distance, but we want to be able to scale this easily, so multiply it by another float, plug her in. We'll make the scale 2 for now, and then we'll want to throw this under a custom event just in case. So step forward event, we'll take in a scaling parameter, attack speed is a float, and we'll get the step forward timeline and set its play rate. We don't want to set it as directly to attack speed. We want to do an inverse scaling, so vision, do 1 over x as the new rate, and then we'll play from the start. Yeah, that looks good, and we'll run it whenever it plays animation with the attack speed as our parameter. And yeah, so let's compile that and see how that looks. Okay, so attack. Yeah, there you go. See? It's a decent sized lunge. Just enough to get you within range, as long as they don't roll away like that. They're really good at rolling though. Yeah, see, there you go. Now we can actually get within range of them. Let's try it out again. Yeah, see, you managed to catch them on a roll there, so that seems pretty good. And we don't really have anything, the animations themselves haven't really changed yet, but maybe later we could change it. But for now, it doesn't look too bad without any changes to the animation. Alright, so that works pretty good. We'll save that. Mark that down as completed. Okay, so next, let's probably want to do this next. So how should this work? The idea is going to be that we're going to want to drop sort of actors. I'll be able to trigger an overriding of whatever blight features are currently in that area. So let's start making some specific blight actors. So the way blight is going to work isn't is the terrain itself is going to have to be blueprinted actors that'll be able to detect their current state. And then when they get impacted, when they detect the collision with some new blight or non-blight actor, it's going to have to detect what that actor's state is and change its current state to that. So, let's start by just creating a base actor and create a blight state base actor and base blight state id BP. Okay, so this will be our base actor that we can inherit a bunch of other actors from to all handle things in the same way. This guy will have is blighted boolean. That'll be good enough. Make that public. Otherwise, we'll add other variables to that as we realize we need them. So, create a new child blueprint. This one will be call it a we'll do a nature version first, or well, actually, nature versus blight ones, since I want them to behave the same way. So we'll call it a blight over or blight actor. Good enough here. So it'll be a physical component. So it's going to want a static mesh. So we can assign we can assign dynamically any sort of plants or whatever we want to this. Then give it a collision detector, probably a sphere collider. Can roll around a bit, or well, we probably don't want it to roll actually. So box collider will do. Then, yeah, so this box collider, so this will actually trigger the changes rather than whatever else, because this one won't have to listen for as long, so it should work out better. So this one can do get other actor and cast it to a base blight stated actor, and then basically get it is blighted, and then it can just do some sort of compare with self is blighted type, or actually not even that, it'll just set its blight type. So set is blighted to get is blighted, and then this will run some sort of function to do all of the relinks and the material changes. Material and other link changes. Yeah. Alright, so that works. And so then I can basically spawn these guys whenever the pawn basically swings its sword in a kind of Tron-esque feel almost. You're basically like laying down lanes of these actors, and then perhaps blight would hurt. Lines of these blight actors would hurt the player, and lines of the nature ones would hurt the enemies. So maybe there's some strategic elements you can use there. So let's see. Let's find something random to use for now. Yeah, that'll do. Make this guy a good bit smaller. Yeah. Good enough. See how that works. Okay, and so whenever we attack, let's also do a timeline where we lay these down in bursts. So we'll call it Blight Actor. Custom event. Create Blight Actor Trail. So these will basically just come out of the sword trails. So don't need to do any scaling for this one. So just new timeline. Create Blight Actors timeline. Start. We'll just do another 1 second one. Add a key. Make it just a linear scale this time. Or actually, you might want to just do an event track. Let's see. No, actually, we'll keep it as a float. So, on track. So, no, we do not do anything here. Here, 1, 1, 0, 0. And this guy's not updating. Refresh. Or did I? Oh, this is not float track, is it? Try that again. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So now in this timeline, we want to actually, never mind, my bad. We don't need a timeline for this at all. We're just gonna do this on a for loop. And we'll just manually define 3 times, and we will pretty much spawn an actor from our class and then do a short delay, 0.2 seconds. So with 3, I'll basically take up 0.6 seconds. Do 0.3, that'll be good enough. And so our class, Blight Actor, drop it off at, see if we get the weapon mesh. We'll spawn at the handle right now, but we don't want that. So add a new scene component to the weapon. We'll call it Blight Spawn Location, and basically move this guy down to the tip. So all of them will spawn at the tip now. and we'll get its world location for that spawn. World transform. No, fun. And there we go. Make sure we actually gave this block all dynamic, movable. I don't know if this mesh actually has any collision meshes though, so it might not work. Yeah, it doesn't have a collision mesh, so we need to give it the box collision rather than overlap all dynamic, block all dynamic, so it can actually, or actually, no, that's not what we need. We need to simulate physics. We'll make it be 1 kilogram. No, that'll probably be too bouncy. Give it some linear damping. 0.5 angular damping. You don't want it to bounce all over the place when it drops. And yeah, see how that works out. Okay, so we swing, and oh, I forgot to call the function. My bad. Yeah, so create light actor trail. There you go. And so it spawned one. We're spawning them, but they're not. Oh, they're actually. Oh, I see. If you notice, I'm actually hitting stuff on the ground here, and that's because this blight actor, this box itself has physics, but the rest of it does not. So this part of the actor is staying where it spawned, but this box component by itself is falling to the ground. So we need to, and we can't inherit the box because we're currently inheriting a root. So what we need to do is we need to basically make the static mesh parented to the box. So even if the actor doesn't move, at least the static mesh will move with the box. There you go. Alright, and yeah, there you go. So when you swing, you kind of get thrown all over the place, to be honest. We're going to have to work on that. We're going to have to work on the actual placement of how they spawn, because it does not seem to be spawning a very good pattern right now. You might not want to make these physical actors actually. You might want to just, rather than make them simulate physics, we might want to just take their spawn location and then cast them straight downward so they find the closest normal surface below them and place themselves there. But that'll take some testing, so we'll see how that goes. But for now, I think I'm going to end this here. Let me know what you think, and I'm going to do some more tweaking with this part here. And next time, I'm probably going to work on some of the blighted materials and work on some of the actual level design next too. So, see how that goes. Thanks for watching. Bye.